once again, this is Genetic Minority here to bring you another Monday Night Raw review for the night of January 2020. January 4th, 2016. First Raw of the new year, first Raw review of the new year. Sorry I didn't get to do one last week. I know I promised I'd be more consistent, but unfortunately I got called into work, which working means lack of consistency. I probably won't be called in for that shift again because it kind of changes at its will. So don't worry about that in the future. To all my new fans, hello. How are you? Thank you for subscribing and or watching. To all my old fans, I love you. Thank you for subscribing and watching. At least I hope you watch consistently. But thanks for subscribing, because that makes me feel good, you know. And to all the people who stumbled upon this video, sorry you can't read, because I know how I label these videos and nobody ever reads them. No, nobody ever reads the title. They just see a thumbnail and a semi-misleading title that's covered through like legal mumbo jumbo. Sorry, I guess you can give me a thumbs down if you want. I'm not mad. It's cool. Anyway, we're talking about Raw though, so if you want to listen, for the people who do listen consistently, let's get right into it. Because it's Monday Night Raw, which means it sucks, and it sucks. Anyway, sorry, spoilers. Is that spoiling for the end of the review? Don't watch the whole thing. Whatever. I think I've dragged this intro part out long enough for that. This view technique. If you're watching this view counts in YouTube's database. So now I officially have your view. Thanks. Turned out better than expected. No, just kidding. Anyway, Raw opens up with Stephanie McMahon, who is quickly cut off by Roman Reigns, who is telling her that she's... I don't remember what he said to her. It's just more Roman Reigns. Actually, you know what's funny? It's actually Roman Reigns coming more closely to what I wanted his character to be in the first place, which is just a badass who does not say much. He still talks too much. Personally, they're kind of giving him like this Stone Cold-esque vibe to him, which is something I said to people a while back. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's good. He have him talking so much. He's gonna be The Rock." And I'm like, "No, he's Stone Cold," and Dean Ambrose is The Rock. He's all talk and over-the-top, bold, and brash and things like that. But yes, they do. Stone Cold could actually talk when it was necessary, but he also had a kind of badass presence where he would just come and attack you and not say anything. And Roman doesn't do that. Roman needs to start doing that. But more or less, he comes out there and basically, makes fun of Steph. I don't know what he says to her. For my own amusement and in my own head canon, for anyone who doesn't know what canon is, it's basically like what actually happened in whatever universe it is. So like the canon of Star Wars or the canon of Star Trek or whatever. I prefer to make up my own canon of WWE because nothing matters. In my own head canon, Roman Reigns called Stephanie a whore a bunch because nothing like that happens on Raw anymore, and somebody needs to call Steph a whore on TV to her face and tell the Macho Man Randy Savage story. If you don't know the Macho Man Stephanie McMahon story, you need to go Google that. Long story short, Stephanie McMahon was underage and Macho Man Randy Savage was not. Alright then, moving on. So she basically says, she not recaps last week, she recaps the ending of last week or part of last week, all the stuff that happened with her, which is like, blah 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 blah, you got my dad locked up, blah 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 blah, he's gonna make sure you lose the title tonight, and Roman says, if your father gets in my way, I'm gonna put him in the hospital. Kind of wish he would have said put him in the grave though. Like I wish he would have insinuated that he'd kill him, because that's always more fun. It's boring when he's just like, if your dad gets in my way, you won't be picking him up from the precinct, you'll be picking him up from the hospital. I kind of would have felt better from like a viewing standpoint of trying to build Roman Reigns to be this crazy violent person if he went, you want to pick your dad up? Why does he sound like Triple H? He's like, you don't have to pick your dad up from the precinct anymore. You have to pick him up from the morgue when they try to identify the rest of his remains or something. He's like, you have to pick him up in a casket when you bury him or something. Something. But, whatever. PG, I guess. Can't talk about killing people, even though people die all the time. No, never teach our kids about death. They can't, blah, blah, blah. Apologies ahead of time if I miss anything, because I ain't gonna lie, I drifted in and out of this Raw because I was so freaking confused about what was going on. Nothing makes sense, and that's even with not having watched last week. I can tell for a fact that it didn't matter. But anyway, next we get Kevin Owens versus Adrian Neville. Adrian Neville, once again, I don't know whose wife he banged, but apparently he banged somebody's wife, and now he's got to lose all the time. But Kevin Owens wins. against Neville, which is an okay match. I did watch parts of the one from last week, but then they're just having it again this week, and I was like, I definitely don't care now. Um, because I was just curious as to how they were building this Dean Kevin Owens feud, and they're doing it poorly. Um, Last week, Kevin Owens put Dean through the announce table. By the way, Dean was at the announce table the entire night, just babbling on, and he babbled on until Kevin Owens attacked Neville after the match. And then Dean comes in for the save, and when Kevin Owens tries to put him through the table, Dean puts him through the announce table with a very unimpressive, I was unimpressed, elbow drop from off the barricade. I guess it was supposed to impress people. He looks at the ring like he's going to go off the top rope, which he should have done. I mean, but you can't do that, because that means he can't do it in their match at the pay-per-view, because... Logic! Anyway, moving on. Just WWE, man. They really kill me with their stupidity. So yeah, last week Kevin Owens puts Dean Ambrose through a table. This week Dean Ambrose puts him through a table, and it's like, okay, so what am I supposed to... This is the thing with WWE. They never build anything. And I know a while ago, last year, I promised not to ever go in deep anymore. But, I mean... Or in deep. Jesus Christ. In detail about what WWE's doing wrong, because they clearly don't care, so why should I? But I care enough for the people that listen. I'll try to keep it short and sweet to the point as much as I can. But to make a long story short, WWE never wants to just let a bad guy be a bad guy. Everyone's got to get their redemption before the pay-per-view. And it's just like... If Dean doesn't... It's not supposed to be like Dean can just beat Kevin Owens. I mean, it's Kevin freaking Owens. It's not... We're talking about the man that looks like a bear. That he's just brushing him off and elbowing him through a table, and that's his big... Like, okay, so he elbows him through this table. Where's Dean's big payoff to finally beating Kevin Owens, you know? Or what am I supposed to be... Sorry about bumping the mic there. What am I supposed to be invested in Dean having a match with him? Dean just put him through the announce table. He got his revenge. If the whole thing, like Kevin Owens puts him through the announce table, and then winning the match is Dean's revenge, then that's fine. But Dean already put him through a table, so what now? Now they're just having a match because, whoa, they hate each other, so, you know, no. There's nothing to make you care in WWE matches anymore, but whatever. That's a thing that happened, and they'll have a match in, what is it, 2 weeks of Royal Rumble? So I think it's like 2 weeks. Even if it is this Sunday, it's like they really... I don't know when the Royal Rumble is, and no, the Royal Rumble's not till January 24th. So it's like it's 3 weeks away. You know what? Yeah, it's January 24th, I believe. So it's 3 weeks away. And you got these guys putting each other through tables in the first 2 weeks of the feud. Are you that desperate to try to get some love for this thing? Are they just going to keep putting each other through the announce table week after week? What? I'm not going to get too hype about it until we get closer to the Rumble and I see what stupid thing they've planned. Because they've planned something stupid. Next, we get Stardust versus Titus O'Neil. Whenever I see Stardust on the screen, I stop having fun if something fun was happening on Raw. Like, that guy makes me not... And that's another ding noise you guys probably heard. That guy makes me not want to have fun watching Raw anymore. Like, he just ruins it. He makes me lose my smile whenever I see Stardust. You know?
I've lost a lot of things, and one of them has been my smile.
So, whatever. Stardust versus Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil won. Once again. I don't need my smile for that, because it's like, why? I hate that Cody Rhodes likes this Stardust character, because it sucks. This man, before they made the two titles one again, or made the two titles one in the first place, could have been a great world heavyweight champion. He could have been, even held the WWE title once, but now he's just like, Stardust makes him so irrelevant, and because Stardust is a comedy act and it makes Vince McMahon and McMahon laugh, then he gets to keep doing it, and you know, because Goldust made Vince laugh, so Stardust makes Vince laugh, and if Vince laughs, then it gets to stay. That's why R-Truth is still dancing around despite pushing 45 years old, and the New Day has all these, whenever the New Day sucks, whatever promo they're cutting, whenever it sucks, and that's why they have this booty gimmick thing, because it makes Vince laugh. Anything that sucks that involves people that are actually talented and minorities, it's because it makes Vince laugh. That's it. Cody Rhodes is actually a talented wrestler, and he will never, ever, 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 ever hold a world title so long as he's Stardust, and he will more than likely continue to be Stardust in WWE. He will never hold the title in WWE. I honestly don't believe he'll ever hold the title in WWE. It's guys like him, Jack Swagger, Cesaro, Dolph Ziggler will never hold a title in WWE despite being very talented. A world title in WWE despite being very talented, because Vince McMahon takes them as jokes. For one reason or another, he thinks they're funny, whether it's their gimmick or whether it's just them. He takes them as jokes. In Jack Swagger's case, he loves getting stupid high, so he can't. He loves getting high with RVD. He loves hanging out with RVD and smoking blunts, and getting caught by the cops. So he'll never be world champion. RVD did all his blunt smoking back when he was in ECW, and then held off a little bit in WWE. Got the WWE championship, and then went right back to taking L's to the face. So good job, RVD. I love RVD. He's awesome. I like Jack Swagger too, and I used to like Dolph Ziggler. I used to like Cody Rhodes. So whatever. I still like Cesaro, but he's injured right now. So yeah, Titus O'Neil wins, and I don't know why. I don't know why this feud's going on. What happened to the Ascension helping Stardust? Why are they not around anymore? Where's Darren Young? I would think it would be Darren Young versus Stardust because they're both kind of weird and vaguely effeminate. Not to make fun of Darren Young for being a homosexual, but hey, I mean, if you're gonna let him just kind of have little nods to him being gay, he should be like, I like Stardust. I like the way he dresses. I like his something kind of gay. I mean, if you're gonna do the whole give him a push because he's gay thing, give him a push and make him gay. I don't know, like Rico was fun. If WWE's gonna push some stereotypes, they don't push others. It's weird. Like they could at least just make Darren. He does the subtle hint thing. So why is he not feuding with Stardust? I don't know. Titus is just like constantly like he's always the Titus interruption. Like he just comes in and interrupts Stardust promos, which is fine because Stardust is kind of boring because he's annoying and doesn't make any sense. But I don't know what I'm thinking. All the words in my head are jumbled. I just know Titus O'Neil beats Stardust, and that's annoying. Next, we get Becky Lynch versus Charlotte. What do I have to say? Ric Flair tried to cheat by grabbing Becky's leg, and then Charlotte tried to roll her up. But Becky wound up getting the upper hand and reversing the roll up and using the trunks to pin Charlotte. And then Charlotte went full heel and attacked Becky Lynch. Where's Paige? Is she hanging out with Nikki Bella? Because apparently they're friends, according to the Slammies. WWE... I don't have words for it. It's just... Nothing makes... Whatever. That bit makes sense. The whole Charlotte turning a heel thing is, I guess, it's been very obvious, but it's been a slow process. Another thing about this match is the crowd didn't care. I didn't care. I died a little inside, and some out physically. Like I still have no use of my left hand because of this match. It's slowly coming back, but it's still a little numb. That might be a stroke. I don't know. I'm not gonna make fun of strokes. Strokes suck. Sorry for anyone who's ever had a stroke. But this match was killing. I was dying inside because I like Becky Lynch, and I'm ambivalent towards Charlotte, but. Everyone knows I got a huge crush on Becky Lynch. Or if you watch my reviews consistently, you know I have a huge crush on Becky Lynch. Because she's Irish and she has red hair. And those are two things I like in women. I love the movie Brave. Just throwing that out there. It's actually a really good movie. But yes, the main character has red hair, which is one of my fetishes. And she's Irish, which is another one. Irish and Scottish accents kill me. So I'm super hyped that my number one fan, Declan, is Irish, because I'm like, yes, I need to talk to you. I need to have words with you. I need to see how you write things. And imagine I'm in an Irish accent. So that's a thing that happened. Anyway, moving on. Ryback versus The Big Show. This match doesn't matter. The Wyatts attack Ryback, and then they attack Big Show. Which means apparently the Big Show's heel switch has now been switched off. Or his face switch has been switched on, however you want to look at that. Whatever, his switch to whether or not he's a heel or a face has now been switched. So he was a face, he was a heel before, but now all of a sudden he's a face facing Ryback, or facing Bray Wyatt. And all I have to say about that is fuck, 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 fuck. Needless to say, I'm not happy about it. But unfortunately, I know it's going to happen because if it's in Kenny McMahon's mind, the Big Show is still relevant. And in order to prove to us that he cares about Bray Wyatt, he has to have Bray beat up someone who's relevant. And god damn it, Bray Wyatt is gonna beat Big Show because the Big Show is the biggest athlete in the entire world. I'm not even doing the Vince McMahon shtick. Regardless, we know where this feud's going. It's the Big Show versus Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family and blah 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 blah. It's something to shut the fans up to make, but it's something to shut the casual fans up who actually like Bray Wyatt, and it only serves to piss off the hardcore fans or reviewers and stuff like myself. Because it's absolute moronic stupidity and we know where it's going. If the Big Show wins, what does this do for him? He's an old man, no offense to the Big Show. And if Bray wins, what does this do? It's a lose-lose situation. If it doesn't do anything for Bray, it doesn't do anything for Big Show. Which means something dumb will happen, like the Big Show winning. God damn it. Anyway, next, we get Rusev and Alberto Del Rio versus the Usos. Rusev and Alberto Del Rio win. I don't know. The League of Losers getting some love. I don't know where. By the way, I call them the League of Losers and not the League of Nations because, well, one, the League of Losers is the name of a comic book group who I think are awesome because it's all the villains that suck. Or I'm sorry, all the heroes that suck, and they just make a team together. But unfortunately, after that, we get the actual League of Losers, but I just call them the Job Squad. But whatever. I call them the League of Losers because they're a bunch of foreign guys who suck, and they're the least interesting characters in all of WWE, which is saying a lot when you have the Divas division. That you're the least interesting characters, you're the least developed, you're the least. I mean, at least in Divas division, they're all labeled as a bunch of chatty cunts who hate each other, yet still preach anti-bullying, even though they bully each other all the time, and nothing's ever consistent. But at least they consistently suck. Like, 1 minute, Alberto Del Rio and Rusev are getting pushes, and, we got Sheamus' Money in the Bank, freaking Burger King Barrett is King of the Ring, and then all of a sudden, nothing. It's like, it blows my mind. I mean, in Rusev's case, he got fed to the Cena machine, and then he let stupid Lana run her mouth on social media about them getting engaged when he should have kept it to himself. He seems like a relatively low-key guy, but he just kept his mouth shut at the wrong time. But that Rusev's fault is he can't keep his hoes in line. That's been his fault. That's been his gimmick in WWE for the longest time now, is he can't keep his hoes in line. He should have been keeping this one in line. I would not, if knowing that I'm about to marry the person whose character is based solely on the fact that people want to bang her, and I'm just and me being a fat loser. I mean, Rusev isn't fat, but I mean, he's a big dude. Me being a husky guy, him being a husky guy, I know when you get a hot piece, everyone loses interest in her. People lose interest in someone who's married. For some people it's a fetish, but a lot of people lose interest in a character when they know that the actress is married. Like a lot of people like Anne Hathaway, but then they're like, she's married with a kid, I don't care anymore. It kills her character when her character is supposed to be hot, and then now they run this gimmick where it's like they're getting married and they love each other, which is only going to break up their marriage, by the way. Doing this whole gimmick of how much they love each other, and that is just going to cause them to not be married anymore. That's what always happens with people on TV who constantly tote around how happy their marriage is. So yeah, the League of Losers wins. Next, we get Dolph Ziggler versus Heath Slater, who came out with the Job Squad. For anyone who doesn't know what the Job Squad is, it was a faction back in the 90s, headed by Al Snow, with all the jobbers in WWE, which is why I don't call them the League of Losers, because although they're losers, they're jobbers. League of Losers, League of Nations, is a bunch of guys who are losers in concept. Or failed concepts, not characters that were meant to lose in the first place. But, apparently the Job Squad is doing alright because he gets the win over Dolph Ziggler. I don't care about Dolph Ziggler. He should be part of the Job Squad because he's just WWE's #1 jobber. That's it. He's number one. WWE's #1 face jobber. For the longest time, Jack Swagger was the #1 heel jobber. Or sorry, Heath was. But I don't know what he is now, especially getting a win over the face jobber, which I guess makes Heath Slater better than Dolph Ziggler. In fact, I like Heath Slater better than I like Dolph Ziggler. Heath Slater is actually funny, not just annoying like Dolph Ziggler. So that's the thing that happened. Next, we get a New Day. And they make fun of Mike Tyson falling off his little Scooty Puff Jr., which I don't know what those stupid little hoverboards are called. I'm just going to call them hoverboards. The stupid Scooty Puff Juniors. I just keep calling them Scooty Puff Juniors. And then, for no reason, Jericho comes out to make fun of them and to make fun of how much Raw sucks and that him showing up is the best thing that's happened on Raw in a long time. So is he a heel? Is he a face? It's confusing. Whatever. God forbid anything make any sense, right? And then he says that he's going to be in the Rumble and that he's returning to, from what he says, returning to being in the ring, wrestling. So he's trying to be like Austin Aries and wrestle until he's like, or Jerry Lynn, or, Austin Aries is also, unless he's feuding with Austin Aries, that'd be awesome. Austin Aries is also in his 40s, just like Chris Jericho, and still wrestles, and very competently. The difference being that Austin Aries cut his hair short a long time ago, isn't trying to relive his glory days. He's literally going on the fact that he's like, I'm old and I'm a veteran. You can't beat me. Yeah, I get that I'm 5'7" and I weigh 150 pounds, soaking wet, rocks in my pants. But you can't. He gets that he's like the Tom Cruise of professional wrestling. His character works a little bit better than modern day Jericho. But whatever. Jericho's return, so that's cool. And but the New Day do have a match. They have it against the Dudleyz and Kalisto. New Day wins. That's all that matters. I don't know where Sin Cara is. Maybe he's changing wrestlers again. I don't know. If I could ever scroll down, that'd be great. Oh, no. That's just the bottom of my thing. Once again, I don't know if I missed anything in the middle. I personally don't care because this Raw sucked, in my opinion. No, I missed a thing. No, I didn't. Next, finally, we get Roman Reigns and Sheamus. Oh, I also skip over a lot of backstage stuff because it doesn't matter. Unless someone gets beat up or something like that. And all the night's backstage stuff was just Vince talking about conniving and screwing over Roman, basically. Next, we get Roman versus Sheamus with Vince's special guest referee for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. The story of the match is that Vince acts like a scumbag, and the same thing any special guest referee does. He calls the count fast for one guy, doesn't call for another, and eventually gets himself knocked out, which is what's happened. Eventually, Roman Reigns attacks Vince, knocks out Sheamus. Is going to go put Vince through the announce table, but has to stall for time because he's not very good at it. He's not very good at finding ways to stall for time. You can't beat up on a 70-year-old man, I guess, even though he's flexing his muscles and showing off his pasty white mayonnaise arms that are buff, but I can still take Vince McMahon in a fight simply by kicking him in the head because he's old. And yes, I can just kick Vince in the head. I kick him in his stupid old knee and then kick him in his head. It's not hard. It's not hard to beat buff dudes when they're old. It's not hard to beat buff dudes in general, but it's not hard to beat buff dudes when they're old. Buff dudes always only work the upper body. Not many, unless they're like a fighter. They never, like a mixed martial artist. They hardly ever work their legs. Like they don't do leg day they say leg day unless they're some kind of athlete. Like if they're just a buff dude that just goes to the gym for the sake of going to the gym, sweep the legs like Karate Kid, man. Just go low. They just literally pull their legs from underneath them. They come swing at you, duck low, pull their legs from underneath them, and then stomp their nuts into oblivion. That's advice for you, all you young kids out there. Stomp on buff guys' nuts, because they suck and they're in shape, which is great for them, but not good for you because they think they're better than you. Anyway, Roman eventually punches Vince in the face, and Steph comes out to save him from hurting Vince anymore. Eventually, Scott Armstrong, who hasn't been seen in the WWE in like 2 years, comes out after Sheamus sneaks in 2 bro kicks on Roman for no reason. The end of the match was such a clusterfuck. It didn't make any sense. So Roman is going to go spear. He does. I think he shoves Stephanie McMahon. I don't know. But he's going to go spear Vince, is standing up, and then he doesn't because Sheamus attacks him. Vince is still standing up, but then just falls to the ground and is like, "Oh, I'm so knocked out and hurt from that one punch." Like he's selling the punch from Roman, but he stood up to eat the spear. So it's not like he just like if he had ate the spear and then Roman gets hyped, turns around and eats a bro kick, then something like I'm watching the end of this match and all I could think is what is going on? None of it made any sense. But eventually Scott Armstrong comes in the ring. Sheamus calls Scott Armstrong in the ring to go do a fast count, but he does a normal count because I don't know why. It was just a mess. And then Scott Armstrong gets himself knocked out by Roman, and then Sheamus gets himself knocked out by Roman, and then that other ref who everyone always sees with the black hair comes in and counts it, and then that's the end of the match. Roman wins, and it's just like, man, I really wish that Asian ref who they had a while back was back in the ring, because that guy's really good at his job. He really can make a match flow really nicely. I can't remember. It was the Seth Rollins versus, was it Dolph Ziggler match? Yeah, Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler, I believe. Or no, Seth Rollins versus John Cena, maybe. Where, like, that ref became the biggest heel in WWE because he was calling the match legit, and he was extremely on point. Asians are on point, people. Just take notice of that. But, nevertheless, the entire end of the match is just a cluster. And then the night ends with Vince walking away with Steph saying that Sheamus has to now defend the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in the Royal Rumble, which means they're really pushing this whole Roman being the greatest Royal Rumble guy ever. I don't know. All I know is this Raw was ridiculous. It was boring. The entire run of it, there was nothing interesting that happened. The things that, or not many things that were interesting that happened, but the stuff that they were trying to do that was supposed to be interesting doesn't make any sense. And then everything else was just annoying. If it wasn't annoying, it was boring or confusing. And it just, those are three combinations of things you don't want out of a show you're watching. Annoying, boring, and confusing, which it always starts off boring, then it's confusing, and then it's, because it's so confusing, it's annoying, and then it's just bouncing back and forth between the three, and that's the story of Monday Night Raw. I mean, like I said, I couldn't. When people get on my case about like, what about this thing that happened? I mean, one time I literally skipped over an entire match. It was a Brie Bella match, so of course that's why I skipped over it. But I skipped over an entire match, and everyone like lost their minds, and I'm like, if it couldn't hold my interest, that's not my fault. I was paying attention, and then something was boring, and I'm not gonna sit there and watch it if it's boring. You're not gonna sit here and listen to me if I'm boring. That's why I add all the stupid visuals and whatnot, because and get hype and say stupid stuff, and because who listens to this entire thing? You know what? I'm done. Join me next week when I be reviewing that. The Royal Rumble's coming up. That won't be interesting. I'm working on some stuff, but whatever. Let me know what you think about the show in the comment section below. Leave a like, leave a dislike. I don't care. Whatever one you choose. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.